did a camera survey of the entire sewer system, and we picked out 5 of the worst things we found along the way, and they were all pretty bad. But we got a little bit of money left over, and I'm proposing that we choose a variety of these bad problems to fix with that leftover money. The priority one is on Malden Street. You see that top picture, the entire side of the pipe is missing. And there's a severe collapse a little bit further downstream from it that's in very bad shape. This creates sinkholes, and deter the amount of sewer flow that can go through it. So those, we call that priority one. But if you flip over to priority 2, it is much better. So the entire top of the pipe is collapsed. You can see at the top picture, there's a pipe down there past that, but there's a whole section of pipe that's missing. Skipping on over to priority 3.
Where's priority 3?
What's that?
Point Street.
Point Street. Yes. And the priority 3 is on Antonio Street. You see there that we got a lot of roots, and if you look at that in the back of the middle of the picture, that's a mound of soil that's already filling up the sewer pipe. So that's going to cause backups, and that's a sinkhole waiting to happen as well. Priority 4 on Latta Street, you can see the entire side of the pipe is cracked and missing. And the last one, priority 5, this one, I think the pipe was in pretty good shape, except for this one place where a service came in. So we think we can dig down to this and just fix a 5 or 6 foot area. The rest of these, the entire pipe was in pretty bad shape, and we're suggesting that we pipe burst those. Now, pipe bursting is something we've been doing a lot for the town during this project, but it's where you put together 400 feet of pipe with a machine, and then you pull the entire pipe in where the old pipe used to be. And you pipe burst the old clay line that we're replacing. You basically fragment it into 1,000 pieces and pull a brand new plastic line where it used to be. So it's a very non-intrusive way of replacing the pipe. And it's really a technology that has no joints and is probably going to be around 100 years. So, but that's what we got. On the back page, there's a fold-out that shows you the results of our camera survey. Now, everywhere you see green, the pipes were in very good condition. Everywhere you see some yellow, they were in fair condition. Had a few little problems, but nothing extremely major. But all the red shows the really poor quality line. So you'll see, I would call 60% of the system in pretty good shape. But the red, maybe the top 15 or 20%, is in fairly poor shape. And then unknown, some of the blues was where we couldn't get a camera down the pipe. We even put some additional effort into it. We still couldn't get a camera down the pipe. So those areas might become red too as well as we are able to do more survey. So there's the 5 boxes that tell you where and how many feet that we were talking about doing. And if you have any questions on any one of them, I'll be glad to answer it. But now we'll go back to the first page where the money's at. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see $40,000. And on the entire project, everything is finished, and we have $40,000 left over to either give back to the federal government or find a good way to spend it. Now, this is the only part of the project that we can figure out there's a good way to spend this money. So column left, the priority 1 Malden Street, it's going to cost $15,000 to repair that line. The next one over, priority 2 Hoyt Street, is $40,000, followed by Antonio at $30,000, Latta Street at $21,000, and then the Latimer Street at $2,500. Now the option 1, I laid out 5 options here, and if you'll follow option 1 across, we would propose to solve every one of these 5 problems. But that's going to cost $108,000. So the town would have to come up with $68,500 to make that happen. So I went down to option 2 and only if I was to solve 3 problems, priority 1, 4, and 5, we would only spend $38,500 and wouldn't quite spend all the money that we got, but that's the closest combination I could get. Then option 4, we only solved 2 problems, number 2 and number 5, and we spend $2,500 more than what we had. So that's the closest combination, but we're only solving 2 of the problems. I'd like to solve as many as we can. Then I got one last option. If we solve priorities 1, 2, and 5, we would need $17,000. So it basically comes down to how much extra money do you want to spend to solve these problems. Do you want to do all of them and come up with $68,000, or do a portion of them and come up with a smaller amount? So there's really not an engineered decision to do that. That's more of a financial decision. But I can tell you there's a host of money coming down the pipe that I want you to be prepared for with a little bit of money to match, because there's a lot of money that's coming that will be 90% grant. This is 100% match. It's either borrowed money or money out of your cash account. So I want you to be prepared for those grants that are coming, because between the American Recovery Plan, Infrastructure Act, and Masters wanting to transfer about $500 billion of the state American rescue to here in 3 4 counties, and Dillon County is in 3 4 counties. So there's going to be a host of money that I'm going to be coming back to you with. So we can solve those, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So if you, I don't want you to spend your last $68,000 trying to spend it, solve this problem here, because for that same $68,000, I can get you $600,000 or $700,000 to go with it somewhere further down the road. Well, if you authorize me tonight, I got a contractor stand by within the next couple of months. You can have this. Well, look at the pictures. They're pretty bad. Now, they've probably been like that for a number of years. They didn't just happen the day we went up with the camera survey. But these probably let a lot of infiltration into the sewer system, and solving these hopefully will make a big difference. But you got a lot more problems after this too.
So if, you might be a stupid question, but if we green light option 3 or even 4, something we can pay for or not pay for easily, you say you can get grant money further down the road that will cover all the problems.
Yes.
And when you say further down the road,
Well, that's up to the politician.
Yeah.
The resource money is out there now, but that's just money they give to you to spend at your will.
Right.
But I'm saying use that money to match grant programs where a typical project is, you apply for a $500,000 grant, the town has to put $50,000 with that.
Okay.
So I can get a lot more bang for the buck for your $50,000 in the future than I can today.
Gotcha.
And that's what I want to be, is I want to solve as many of these problems on the back sheet. Because I would definitely like to solve these 5 first. But then look at all the other red lines. I mean, we just kind of pick a neighborhood or a combination of neighborhoods, prioritize those, and try and solve as many problems in that next grant project. But it's going to take 3 or 4 grant projects to solve all these problems. So,
Would you recommend starting with one that we have to put up the least amount of money for right now?
yes, ma'am. I just don't want you to spend all your money and not have any to go along with these future grant programs. So get the most bang for your buck. I mean, if we can solve 3 of them, which is option 3, I mean, we're a little bit short, but we solved 3 problems. And I say a little bit short, we didn't spend all the money we have. We're very close, within $1,500. Whereas option 4 solves the big money problem, option 2, which will cost $40,000
Well, opinion is, just do a little bit, a couple of projects, and move on, wait on up, and then just wait until we can do some more grants to, move forward. What is your,
That's a good rationale. I mean, like I say, I want to put the most grant money in place as possible. And I just know between the American Resource money and the Economic Infrastructure Act and what McMaster's planning to turn loose on tier 3 and 4 counties, there's going to be a lot of opportunities out there in the future. Very near future.
okay, so my question is, your recommendation does is to start, just program is so we can match, and try to get it out. What is your recommendation? That's what I'm asking.
Like I say, anything, I like option 5, I like option 4, I like option 2. Option 1, you're going to spend $68,000 of your money. I'd rather you save some of that money 6 months down the road where we might need it to go along with a big grant project. So spend as close to zero as possible. And those 3 are, and even option 3, I'm sure we'll discover some things that need another $1,500 along the way. This is all estimate.
This start chunk would be good.
That's right. And so, that would solve 3 of these 5 problems. That's a decent one. So, there's a myriad of options.
So there's no reason at all to not at least start option 3. That's right out of pocket, right?
3 just does options 1, 4, and 5. You look back at option 2 and 3, and that's our priority 2 and 3. Can they wait? If a sinkhole creates tomorrow, we'll have to fix it quickly with town money. Let's solve as many problems as we can with the money we have and plan for the next treatment and stuff.
Because it all runs up in our sewer system and treatment facility plant. Treatment by I&I, is it got awful expensive?
No, a normal day in Latta is about 400,000 gallons a day. On a rainy day for about 2 days, you peak over a million and a half gallons. So it's just flowing through your process. It's wearing out pumps, it's wearing out aerators. There's a cost, but like I say, I would like to take, we got to solve every problem today. Let's take a 3 or 4 year approach to it and solve as many problems as we can now with the money we got and get ready to get in line for the grants in the future.
When will this grant that you mentioned, when will it be first available?
Nobody knows. They've been arguing over this package in Washington for 4 or 5 months now, and it's getting close, but I think it'll come, but just what fashion, I don't know. And then which funding agency are they going to give the money to? The Infrastructure Act is going to SRF. SRF receives applications every March. Will they have the money by then? I'd like to think so. But in March, we would apply for everything we can. And then there's other grant programs in March and September that we can apply for. So I'd like to be in line to go after those as well. But in round terms, to apply for this grant cost the town $50,000. To apply for this grant cost another $50,000. So I'd rather you save some of that money so that we can get, because we can get $500,000 and $1 million grants at that time, which will solve a lot of those red lines on the back sheet. Any questions or?
Anybody want to make a motion to fix any of these? Otherwise, we just got $40,000 sitting there to get back.
Well,
Given that,
why don't we look at maybe option 3, we'll can on this, and move on.
Make a start.
Yeah, that's a start.
I'll take a
Now,
look.
we don't spend all the money, we got a couple, few dollars left for future stuff, until some grants. That's, I recommend that we take option 3.
So we got a motion to accept option 3, which means we'll do the repairs on Malden Street,
on the agenda. Mr. Robin Daniel, proposal for equipment.
Hey, y'all, it seems like yesterday I was up here before y'all. We had a problem and, y'all found a unique way to help pull us out of the bind. We're so grateful for y'all's help. Now, we've got a pretty serious problem. And the problem is in a matter of life or death now. We've got 3 cardiac monitors. One of them is on permanent loan from Department of Transport. And y'all know as well as that, a permanent loan means we got it until we get it back. The other 2 are what are monitors called LifePak 12s, which are about 20 years old. And when we got them, we sent them off to Franklin, Tennessee every year to have them maintained. At a minimum cost of $500 per monitor per year. In 2020 and 2019, we spent $3,600 on both of these monitors to get them repaired and maintained. After the last maintenance repair in 2020, they called me and said one of our monitors was probably not going to, when it broke down, that was going to be it. Parts don't come anymore, and lo and behold, it broke down. It will not defibrillate, which is one of the requirements that a cardiac monitor has to do. Well, 3 weeks ago, our other monitor quit monitoring, which means you can't defibrillate with it either because you don't see the rhythm that's going on. And so I called the 3 major manufacturers of cardiac monitors in the nation. One of them refused to give me a grant, give me a quote when he found out that I was going to apply for a government spend. The other company, which is Philips, they have a cardiac monitor called the Tempest, which I did not even print the quote up on it because it was $88,000. For one? For one, yes. Now, the cardiac monitor that I'm proposing is this right here, this, it's called a LifePak 15. And it is what Dillon County EMS uses, and it's what almost every ambulance service in this area uses, which means that if we have a situation where somebody from another agency had to jump on our ambulance, they would already know how to use it. And it's the same monitor that the monitor brand that we've been using ever since Labyrinth's was been in business. DHEC requires that we have capabilities to provide a 12-lead EKG, which means we can tell you within seconds if you're having a heart attack, and make a transport decision based on what we know. It has to have an AED, which means it gives us the ability to shock you. And when you go into a rhythm called ventricular fibrillation, the fastest that you can be shocked is a much important thing in a life or death situation. The sooner you can shock somebody in that rhythm, the better their chances are for survival. We have to have the ability to pace, which means if your heart rate is in the 30s or something like that, that we can pace you with that monitor. We have to have the capability of monitoring end-tidal CO2, which basically is if we have to stick a tube in our throat every breathe, that reading will tell us if we're doing the job correctly, basically. If we're transporting with certain drugs, mainly nitroglycerin, we have to have capabilities of getting a blood pressure every 5 minutes on the clock, which is what this cardiac monitor does. And it has an added feature that I did not negotiate down on, is oxyhemoglobin. In my career, I have worked a lot of carbon monoxide poisons. Some of them had good outcomes, some of them had bad. And you know, a few years ago, we had to pull 2 firemen out of the house. And so the oxyhemoglobin reading is for a little town like us, I feel that it's a necessity as well. The quote started out at $39,000, and I negotiated it down to 34,600, which is on the second page of that handout again. We have got hand-me-downs. Every monitor we've got, except for one of those Latta 12s, which is now on the threads, from other agencies. Latta 12 that wasn't a hand-me-down, we bought as a refurb unit from the same place that we get them maintained at. And we got that with money we had left over from Hurricane Matthew. So that monitor lasted 6 years, and the one we got before that was a hand-me-down from Paramedic Transport Service, and it lasted 7 years. A refurb, in my, will save a whole lot of money, but in the long run, it's costing $1,000 per pot per year. It is, I don't think it's worth it. I did some research, and American Rescue Funds, somewhere in the 112 pages that I read, it states that if you lose durable medical equipment during this pandemic, you are eligible to receive funds for that to the treatment. So I'm asking that y'all consider purchasing us this monitor right here from the American Rescue Funds, so that we can continue doing our job legally. And like I say, the most important thing here is the intervention that can be the difference between life and death. And this, like I say, the monitor we got now, by the way, that we borrowed from Paramedic Transport on a permanent loan, is also now showing signs of wear. It operates off of 2 batteries, and it's not reading one of the batteries, which means if we had to defibrillate somebody, it takes a lot of battery to defibrillate. It's possible that we wouldn't be affected because operating on one battery. Now, we do carry spare batteries, but once you realize that battery's not working, you got to reach out and change it over again. That's precious time. So I'm asking.
What's the time frame on receiving this? How fast can you get it?
Couple of weeks. In fact, I believe if I call that rep up, he can do it in his car, bring it to me.
I see that there's payment terms. Is that something y'all discussed?
Well, I told him we'll pay it. I wouldn't purchase it outright.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, we purchase this for our rescue. Otherwise, my family, I'll throw it in.
I know what it can do, I know how it does, except the first thing.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I call for a vote.
Aye.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is Selena Kelly on annexation into town. neither one is in the town, you're here, you want to be in the town,
Okay, I
we've
got
got to
it.
get these two to accept it before we can take you. We
Okay,
can't-
I got the girl and I got the girl. That's why
Right,
they were on my side.
but the problem is Willis Street, one side of Willis Street, some of those properties are in, some are not. The other side of Willis Street, none of them are in. So that street is
They got
in our way.
houses in that side, 2 or 3 houses. There's a building there.
Right, the paper, what I do is I go online, GIS, you bring me those papers, signatures and all, I look up the property, where it goes with, and those names are not matching up with the owners. The county says they have to do this. Yeah, I have to go through lawyers to get this done. I can't just
So who
say,
is the people that I know everybody when I took you, they are trying to figure out whoever owns that, who owns that.
right, well,
So I
like,
don't know what the problem is.
Miss Sellers, I think I.M.A. Sellers or something, was one of them,
Janet Sellers,
I think.
that's the only one, Julie
Mine,
Sellers.
yeah.
They see the on the highway, Julie Sellers.
Not according to the county record she's on. Now, maybe the county has it wrong.
Okay.
I can't make those judgment calls. If you give me your house, and you say Selena Kelly signed it, you want it, and it's in your name up the county, I can do that, no problem. But when it's somebody else's thing that's different, we have to figure out why it's different and try to reconcile that. So the person that owns it, whose name is registered in the county, has to be the one that signs saying, yes, you can do it.
But what you just get back with you, I can know who was, where I can go back to them and tell them. You just got that picture.
Didn't you tell them when they?
Yeah, I told her once, and I tried to call back again, and you called my office several times when I have not been available, because right now,
Okay, you got the paper with you down?
no, I don't. If you come by my office tomorrow, I'll have it with me then, and we can go over it,
Okay,
and I'll make time.
okay.
Just don't come at 11 o'clock, I have to be at 11.
I ain't got no-
Come before 11 or come after lunch, I'll be there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda is Mr. Kevin Drawhorn.
How we doing? All right, last one I was talking about hiring more employees and questions was asked where we can get money to hire those employees from. Right now, street department is, we got Brian Strand for the water department. But what Brian Strand is not doing is cutting on, turning off, putting in those meters or pulling those meters. And we're having to take street department workers off the street department and go do that water department work. So, we need some people as far as the water department. But if we're not gonna hire a water department, then what we should do is we only paying Brian Strand out of our water and sewer money, then we should be able to use some of that money to refurbish that street department account a little for some employees. Because we're using our employees from the street department for that water.
Yeah, you can't do that. So, let me explain why. You have general fund, which is funds that come in from taxpayers. Also, you have money coming in from, can't think of the name of the thing, but where cable companies send us money, or franchise fees, things like that. Then you have the water sewer fund, which is the revenue fund. They have to be separate. You cannot commingle the money. That had been done in the past sometimes, and we got in some trouble over that. So if we make money in the water department, it can only be spent on water department things. If we want to do something in the street department, that money has to come out of the regular general funds. So you can't say, okay, well, we've got some extra money over here in the revenue department. we'll
So
shift it."
it'll be okay, it's okay for us to use the street department personnel.
Yes.
And they are on the clock, being paid out of the street department account to do water department work.
Well, the only person I'm aware of that's doing street department work, that's doing cutoffs and things like that, in general, is the street department supervisor. And he was the street department and water department supervisor.
So
So he's already kind of covered. Plus, the extra money that is in the revenue fund right now is going to be used to pay the loan off that we have on this loan grant package for all these repairs being done. We can't spend that on additional employees because then we won't be able to meet our responsibility of paying back the loan.
As we talked about last month as well, that street department needs to be increased. If not, we need to do something as far as the water department. We need to hire some people so that way we can pay them from that water department. You know what I mean? So that way they can be the people who goes out or come out at night or whatever. You know what I mean? If it can be done. So that way we can continue getting our street department stuff done as it can be done. They're behind because they have to cover so many different avenues in town. You know what I mean? And they're already a small part. So that's why we're needing more employees there. But over at the town hall, the employee in question that we were speaking on as far as that full-time position is there been anything being done about that? Has that been talked about, spoken on? The idea is to give that employee in question full-time benefits.
No.
Do you care to explain why?
No, because I haven't discussed it with the employee yet.
Always don't have to take the initiative.
It was an important matter.
And they would want, they need to get.
And as far as hiring for water and sewer needs and issues, do you have any clue as to how many issues the water and sewer department handles? You're talking about probably hiring somebody on, if you hire them 10, 15 an hour, which average 2,080 hours a year, which is average 40 hours. Just salary alone is $21,840, plus you've got to add 8 or 9% for retirement. Is it 12%? No, it's 9, it's 12%. Please don't say. 9? So add 9% of that, so you might say if you're running at 10%, that's going to be another $2,200. So you jump that up to $24,000 at that point, then you've got to pay benefits, which is probably dependent. If it's a single person, $400 a month, about, yes. If it's a family, it's $800. So you're probably looking at anywhere from another $3,000 to $6,000. So now you're bumping up close between $28,000 and $30,000. And on any given month, you probably have 20 turn-offs at most. And probably a call during the month. Jason may handle maybe 10, not very many. You're looking at hiring somebody for $28,000 to $30,000 to handle maybe 30 short issues. It may take a day's worth of work. Maybe a day and a half, 2 days, 30 days. So I mean, if that's something this council would want to do, or somebody that's running wants to do, that's up to them. I just don't think that's money taxpayers wise to spend. I wouldn't spend my money like that.
Do you want me to wait to,
Are they in reference to hiring? But, all right. Next thing on the agenda is department reports. Chief, police chief, you have that? Any questions for the police chief based on his report? Hearing none, move on. Jason?
Excuse me, I apologize. I have a question. Police department.
Sure.
I would like to know, did the police department get a new dog?
Yes, ma'am, we got donated a new dog a couple months ago. He's in the middle of training right now.
Oh, well, I was asking due to citizens saying that he was at one of the football games, so.
Yeah, that was part of the immediate training and desensitizing to the loud noise.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Mr. Rebecca, anything to add to your clerk report? No? Any questions from her, Mr. Rebecca? Mr. True, do you have any kind of rec report? Lindy, you want?
Well, you want to,
You can go ahead with what you don't get out there.
actually, we've been trying to work with Jason and Andy, with the Reds, with the football. And it has been up and down, but it has finished. Right now, from what I'm understanding on this, we're going to be most of it in person, trying to get trophies and stuff for the players. And we could not get any chance. Anything through the town, so from what I understand, a couple of coaches went and purchased trophies for their children. And we'll negotiate and try to see what's going on and get them paid if it was within the right range. And all my reports I can put back about Red Hill Rig. We've been debating, working, trying to get the gym straightened out. We were told to go and find somebody, see what it takes to do the gym. So we, the rec department, got out, check people, check prices. First man I checked told me, he said, Mr. Truth, we're going to work with you good. It's not bad. He went in, took his stuff, and checked everything out. Found no asbestos. He found mold. He said the mold wasn't bad, but it did need cleaning. So he told me, it won't be much, Mr. Truth. We talked. He charged us $150 to come and check. And then he told me, I'm going to waive that $150 because I want your kids in the gym. But
There's no way passing in the gym.
according to him, let me finish it. So, 4 days later, he sent me an estimate. And he wanted to rebuild the gym. The estimate about rebuilding the gym. All before, it was an even lower price. And all of a sudden, it jumped up for whatever reason. So, I knew we could not afford that. So I checked with a couple other people, some of them didn't cool. I think Mr. Mason gave Jason, the person that could do the work. He came and he knew it out to see me. So we found another person, all these people that came in and checked for whatever's going on in there. And, we found this man, years after, he does the same thing with the chicken. Nobody has found any asbestos, but that was low. His price was very reasonable. You see it on there, he's going to do everything with the local and stuff that's in the gym. And he told us that he could do it. He's basically a native of that. He in the business of doing it. He told us he could do it for $3,500. But what these other people was telling me, I told Jason to call him and hire him before we change his name. Won't supposed to be coming until next week. But yesterday he said he was coming today to get started. So I looked around, never seen him. I heard, I hadn't talked to him, but I was told that he had no business coming doing nothing because it didn't come to the council. I was told, we were told to do what needed to be done so we could get in the team. $3,500 was a minimum, a low price. I checked them with the asbestos. They said, there's no asbestos in the gym, there's no asbestos in the building, to the best of their knowledge. But these people came to check and found those things. They found them all. So, I will bring the council tonight, but if it's gonna get started today, if I had to pay $3,500, I was gonna let it start, but it got stopped. So that's where we are. Jason did tell me that he was gonna go on with the basketball sign up since we had somebody to get the gym. So I told him, I said, as long as we get the gym situated, go ahead, work forward. So if anything can't come to Jason about it, I did tell him to go ahead. But we were not looking for this man to show up until a couple of weeks, but we found him open to get started today. And I even expressed, I said, well, like Jermaine levels, I knew that the park had $3,500. Because we got to pay Jermaine in 3 months, more than 3 months. So his salary would have taken care of the gym. That's what we are now. That's what's going on. And I don't know where to go from here, but I think that's a real good price. And the people I talked to could not find any discussions. A lot of extra value. And the first man came, he had this, I was with him. We went all through the check, but we couldn't find it.
We do something right in the state of Nashville.
Yes.
Well, do I have anything to write the state there is?
Yes.
Same?
Yes.
What is it?
First of all,
I said right, I didn't say with somebody else, but with the man, with these
yes,
people.
you do.
Okay.
You were sent,
No, look, I heard that.
you were, and I've got a copy of it. You were sent on 10/21/21.
I heard that.
Well, I'm telling you, it's sitting in your email account. If you go check your email, it's been sitting there for a month, or almost a month now. And I can show you where it's sent there. If it didn't get there, I don't know why it didn't get there.
I don't know.
Everybody else seems to have theirs. So with that being said, there's a professional 56-page report that shows multiple issues and instances of asbestos. Not only did I send it through email, I also texted and circled and highlighted exactly where in the gymnasium the asbestos was located. It's on this text here, I can print it out. I think most all of you heard from Melinda, so I know at least one person on the council saw it, because somebody called Melinda and told her. So, and I sent it to Councilman Robinson again today. On the stage window, the window glazing is 3% chrysolite. And that's a type of asbestos, it's 3% asbestos. I further, when I was talking to Jason about it, I went and I looked up that particular material. And without a doubt, unequivocally and scientifically, that material causes mesothelioma. If anybody has watched TV on cable in the last 5 years, there's multiple commercials about if you were ever exposed to asbestos, you may have mesothelioma. Call a law firm such and such and jump on the class action lawsuit against the person using it. So that's why I have been talking about this for at least 3 months, as to why we need to get somebody in there and professionally check it out. I don't, if somebody wants to put their company letterhead that there's no asbestos in there and they want to go against this company that got hired, that's up to the council. I think at this point somebody suggested possibly going and finding maybe a government source that can allow us to look into something like that. But for me, and I'm one person of 7, if any of the 4 of you guys, or 5 of you guys, or 6 of you guys want to vote, outrule me, you're more than welcome to go ahead and do it. But for me, knowing what's in that building, having a professional come in and test it, and he didn't test just the gym, he tested over 100 different sites throughout that whole entire school on that site. And he found multiple instances of asbestos. chipping off because it's been exposed to elements, and it's been exposed to water, and wind, and hurricanes, and animals. Like I think everything has been possible when shown up down there. I think we found mice in the gym, we found snakes in the gym, we've got water damage in the gym because we've got mold down there. So I don't think it's too far of a stretch to maybe reasonably expect that some of this asbestos has possibly been damaged. All I'm saying to council is, I think somebody should look into it. Otherwise, 7 of us are going to be sitting before a court somewhere in 20 to 30 years from now, explaining to some mother why her kid has lung cancer. And I don't think any recreation game is worth some kid or multiple kids getting lung cancer. So, like I've said for the last 3 months, all I'm asking for to put my mind at ease and put all these parents that are sitting out here at ease is show us the air quality in that particular gymnasium is not a unique issue. Put it on somebody that's professional and allow that professional to tell us that gymnasium is safe, put it right. And then I think we'll be fine. But I don't think I've seen that yet. If that can be produced, hey, I'll say no more. Hey, game on.
Well, like I said,
I just don't think putting children's safety at risk at this point in time is worth arguing over when we can just get somebody to say, sure, it's a safe thing.
like I said, I'm not arguing. The professional said they checked it, they did not find any asbestos in it. It was no. Said asbestos was like in the boiler room. And as long as you don't mess with that, it's not going to mess with you. The boiler room is locked out.
I sent you that report at the same time that I sent the council. And you
But the
print that
last
all
few
the way to the
months-
council, it's all in the box for me tomorrow. And if you don't have it, I'll send it to you again.
Yeah, for the last few months, I told you I have not been getting emails from the town. I don't know why. But, this is the out of the world thing that told me, he told me, Circle, told me, it's not bad. It has mold in it, and it's gonna come and clean it, and spray it, and get all the stuff out. Same thing, these people tell me.
And in response to Mr. Jackson, he and his partner also got that report. I sent and talked to them last night, and they supposedly looked over it as well. And even they couldn't tell me, they don't do asbestos. If anybody knows William Blakely in Dillon, and I looked him up and there was a William Blakely that died in 2019, and I don't know if that's the same person, but there was a Blakely's construction in Dillon. And he handled the asbestos, but I have not been able to figure out who he is yet. Or at least not do an internet search. If anybody knows who can give us that number. What is that? I don't know. I don't know.
Is this companies, are they insured?
When I checked, everything was on the up and up.
I'm just wondering why the drastic difference in quotes, because usually.
This quote here, and this is my figures, there's no proof. But this report here, when I talked to the man, when I talked to you, I know where you're going. The man looked at me and said, I'm gonna fix it up right, and it's look good, and we're not gonna, it's not gonna be a big price. 2 days later, he sent me this thing, he told me $42,000. Why? I have no idea.
That's what I'm saying. What about the second? What was the price per second?
The second one was a lot cheaper than this, I didn't really get it.
That's still real high.
It was a lot higher than this, or a lot cheaper than this.
Is that on asbestos mediation and mold, or is that, what was that $42,000 for?
That was, he checked asbestos, mold, and everything, the circle, he checked, he said, he could not find it. He said, if there's any asbestos, the level is so low that it's not penetrating, it will not fit. But he said
Will
he's
he put
going
that-
through,
Will he put that in writing for us? Or is it on that report?
he put here his clean, what it took to clean.
Yeah, but that won't matter if we use a third party. If his report, that's his report,
this is just a quote to do the work, it doesn't say anything about.
Probably won't put that on.
He could not find the stuff where he put it on. He put his findings with the motor.
But what I'm saying is, I think if you drag that guy in court, he's going to get you, I didn't say that.
Well, I just brought it back to the council and the people what you told the Park and Recreation to do. I just did what I was asked to do and tried to get everything moving. That's all I can do.
Do we know? What's what will it cost to fix to make the gym
Will we ever
the
be
way
able-
it's supposed to be?
No, I don't mind.
I mean, the
If you're talking
ballpark.
about the whole entire,
Yeah, I mean, because some of them keep band-aiding it to death.
Well, both of these fellows said that we take, like I just think, I felt all the years, because the school, we close it off, we can't get to that end of the school. We don't have that problem. $150 you take to close that end up with plywood. If you want to put an extra for that $300 close it up, and you can go in there if you want to, but you like.
Could we?
That's the school, that's not the gym. Don't have that. He went, this man went through every part of the gym.
Can you design something you say, he expected, if I'm trying to yourself.
But you still just look at yourself.
I don't get nothing. What is this about?
Maybe you will get it.
If you'll sign a form saying that, so we can cover it. If we cover form that says risk assessments, we got plenty of them writing down on paper, that's not working. We need something on paper.
But see, because I had to still get I'm going about to cut them out.
All right, moving on. This takes us to the council reports. Councilman Lee.
I wanted to thank all the citizens that came out for the Fall Fest. That was a great event. Thank you, Marcus, for the help. You guys are wonderful. Everybody, that's what it's about, in my opinion. And I think we need to do a lot more of that. If you didn't go, you missed a good event, so we're going to the next one. Other than that, I don't have anything. Thank y'all for coming.
And I'm gonna add to the citizens, thank you for coming, for your support. You are what makes us. We don't, a lot of things we wouldn't do if you didn't show up. Some things we wouldn't do. And a lot of things you cause us to do because you demanded it. That's what your job is as citizens. And I appreciate you coming. And I appreciate the employees for what you do. I didn't say it yet before. If I don't see no more until after Thanksgiving, my number hadn't changed, so we're still on the dial.
Councilman Shelley.
I want to thank all the citizens for coming out tonight, and I want to thank KRC for a wonderful fall fest last weekend. It was a wonderful thing, and got a good turnout. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for working for that tonight.
Councilman Davis.
I'd like to thank the folks responsible, Joe, Councilman Williamson spearheaded redoing the gazebo outside. It's great, it's nice and sturdy, it's a wiggle. American Rescue Act money is in, we have that in our hands, that's good. We got half of what we realized this year, and we'll get half next year. If any council member hears about it, we had a little bit of an issue with sewer covers on some of the new parts of the sewer downwards.
too would like to thank everybody for your turnout with the revitalization and the fall festival that we had. And I hope that something will be planned for Christmas. And I think we can do that. But thank you, all the citizens who helped with that, council people too, who helped. We appreciate it. Thank you. Have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody.
Councilwoman Roberts.
Hello, everybody. Y'all know I'm always going to say thank you for coming. I'm glad to see everybody. I do have a report. I thought I was going to be able to continue the report from the rec department. Concerning the football, that was a very rigorous challenge. And first of all, thank God that I was able to even be given the challenge. I thank those families that came out and participated. You all did an awesome job. We are in the process of getting trophies and having something for the children. They had something tonight, and I was unable to be there. It was at 6 o'clock. But Mr. Andy and the other coaches, they all were excellent. We have one team that will be going to All-Stars. That's the 9 and 10. 11 and 12, they will not be attending. But everyone did an awesome job. Had some challenges because of being at the rec department. It made me more, made me more aware. I'm bringing back to the council that there does need to be a rec director. And I am proposing that we hire one as soon as possible. Regardless of basketball, softball, baseball, there needs to be someone present because we have children and they need to have a place to go and be active. Shouldn't be political. It should be about family because we are all a team. We work together and we should put a united front so that our children can see that we are working together to get things done. Also, when it comes to the basketball, going through that, I did speak with Mr. Larry tonight, and he told me that he was halted doing the mediation for the gym, so that I am hoping that the council can come together and we can go ahead and do what needs to be done for that and show that we are united, working together. But there does need to be something done concerning the rec director and keeping the facilities clean. Without a rec director, did not realize as much goes into keeping the grounds clean, keeping the restrooms clean. If you don't have a rec director, then no one's going to do it. So therefore, it fell on whoever was using those facilities to clean it. I do not think that was a good sign for the town, for us having people out there and not giving them facilities that are available. So I'm saying all that, saying once again, reiterating, we need to hire a rec director. And we also need to hire someone that can keep the grounds clean. That does not have to be a full-time person, but it does need to be a person. And because I was out there working, I feel that needed to be brought forth. Because if you're not there, you don't know what all goes into it. So there are some other things that I will address later, but those are, I think, our priority. So thank you once again. Thank you for the time. And we will see you in December. Happy Thanksgiving.
I would like to add something to Melinda's about the rec director. I think we do need to pursue, make the effort to try and get a rec director, because there's a lot, as she said, there is a lot involved. And we never had such a good rec program until we got a full-time rec director. I think we need a full-time, because part-time, they don't take as much responsibility as they would full-time. So I think council should begin soon pursuing the new rec director. Your applications, and then you can decide.
You may say
Right.
While I'm waiting on him, yes, know the way I feel about it, we still have to vote on it. So,
You didn't get the more than one, you did.
yeah, so
I'll make a motion.
make a motion, go ahead and get prepared. In a second, any discussion? If none, I call for a vote. Aye. All right, thank you. All right, the other thing I had on my report tonight is, we have an officer standing over here, Zane, and I just wanted everybody to know that, he went a little above and beyond his duty when he got called to a fire over on Church Street, back of, Frank Graystone's house. Back of the house caught on fire because wiring, and the fire department didn't even show up. He was there, he took the hose out of the owner's hand and had the fire basically put out before the fire department even got there. So I just wanted to recognize him tonight for the extra work, and the family was very pleased. He said if he hadn't done that, they would have a lot less house to deal with. So I just wanted to recognize him for that. Mr. Crawford, can I see you for just a moment? Okay. All right, we finished with council reports. That brings us to the comment section of the meeting, which first up is Mr. Kevin Drawmore, and he's here to discuss FEMA and how much we got the American Rescue Act money, I believe.
Yeah. You just said that we got it, can you tell folks how much exactly that was?
$319,864.74.
319,000.
864.
864.
74%.
All right, and, well, do you know right offhand how much FEMA money that we occurred here in the town? Not right offhand. Rebecca, do you know? You know, estimate, you know, as you put those numbers in, you know. Is there any way that you can give us a little quick, because I know that you had a list, and you never got a chance to finish it. If you would, I want to know.
A little bit of a heads up, I could add something prepared for that. I don't.
So you can bring that for us next time, what we actually did.
They'll give me a list of questions, I'll answer what's not there.
Thank you. No problem.
All right, next on the agenda is Teresa Mason.
Good evening and happy Veterans Day for those who are here veterans. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it. I just listened to all that was said about the gym. Some people don't even know my dad does bodybuilding and stuff, and I've dealt with asbestos. Personally, as a citizen of Latta, letting any kid in Dillon County go into that gym right now would be a major no. I personally, and I will be calling tomorrow, I will be calling DHEC and their air quality control, and have them come check it. And then after what they suggest, if they say shut it down, they shut it down. If they say, oh, it's okay to use, then we need to go to our insurance company. That's the insurance company that covers the gym and the kids' insurance companies to make sure they're okay with the actual findings that have been put in front of us, not estimates. So if you've got people who say there's no asbestos, they need to put it on letterhead, there is no asbestos, to go against the report that we have that has asbestos. This going back and forth over kids is ridiculous. I mean, the kids come first. I want the gym. But sitting there just putting kids in it because, oh, we want it, And you're talking about mold. If there's mold, what caused the mold? Are we fixing the cause of the mold, or are we just gonna fix the mold, so next week when it rains again, the mold's coming back? So that's just throwing money on the trash. I mean, we're looking at quick fixes to try to do something. I think this report for asbestos has been since May.
It's about 3 months old, not quite May. He came and tested in May, he did not give the report back until.
Because he actually had to do the testing on the things, not just go in there to look and that's it. Okay. Okay, so, I mean, I don't think there's nobody should go in and do any mold remediation until such time as we're gonna have one what's causing the mold. Because that needs to be taken care of first. Otherwise, you're throwing our tax dollars in the trash can. And second, until you can get total reports taken to asbestos, and you can get DHEC and your insurance companies to approve and say it's okay for those kids to be in that gym, there's no discussion. And that's just my opinion as a citizen of Latta.
All right. Nothing else on the agenda? Do I have
Good.
to adjourn?
I got a question. In regard to the report that was done on the mold in the gym, where did that report come from? Was it a report that we paid for? Was it a volunteer report? How did it come about in terms of the organization that provided that report?
So that's a really good question, and I'm sorry I didn't discuss that. So what happened was, and I think I've discussed this in prior meetings, but I don't think we've never been inside the crowd. What happened during Hurricane Florence? Just out of show of hands, anybody with us during Hurricane Florence down in Latta? So you remember when we went down there and we ushered people down there because that was the no, that was the shelter we created. Red Cross came out and they certified us as a shelter. We were kind of proud of it. And maybe 8 hours, and you got to think this has been 3-4 years ago, and not really the best of memory, but I think that's about what it was, about 8 hours into the storm. A tile fell down in the hallway. Shortly after that, another tile fell down next to the bathroom.
What fell on?
I'm sorry, a ceiling tile. I didn't know, and I apologize if you, I recognize you're not originally from Latta, but a lot of.
I am originally from that.
You just didn't go to school here,
Right,
did
I
you?
did go to school.
Oh, you did? Okay, so you're familiar with the building. You're familiar with the building.
Yes.
So the far end has a bathroom down there next to the cafeteria. Right in that area, the tile started falling down from water leakage, about 8 hours into the storm. We were all in there. We had volunteers. Can you hear me if I speak real loud?
Yeah, sure I can.
So 8 hours into the storm, the tile started leaking, and it became of a concern. DHEC in Dillon County noticed it, and we monitored it, and probably another hour and a half, 2 hours into it, the roof started leaking down in the cafeteria where we were housing people, and that became more of a problem. So the government officials in Dillon County that were handling emergency preparedness at that point got in conversation with American Red Cross, who was there on site as well with us, and they made the decision to abandon that shelter in the midst of the storm. And myself and the police department ushered, I think we had probably around 30 to 40 people off the top of my head in there, and we took them in the back of one of our Howard Rescue military vehicles to the primary Dillon County shelter site over in Dillon. After everything was said and done, and you're picking up the pieces and cleaning up after emergency disaster such as that, you've got FEMA coming in, you've got your emergency, your insurance adjusters coming in, and everybody's kind of assessing damages and determinations of what caused this and that, okay? So what happened during that process was FEMA come in, and FEMA gave us a quote for the damages in that particular building. And I'm not quite sure what it was, but I do remember it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. It wasn't a small number. Our insurance company came in, and they said, no, we're denying this whole entire claim because this was not storm-related damages. This was due to the fact the town of Latta didn't take care of that facility and maintain it. So,
Was that true?
I'm telling the whole story. And so we got around, we asked around, and we said, all right, we're fine. This repair is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and our budget on a yearly basis is probably between $1.4 and $1.6 million. We don't have that kind of money laying around. Never will have that kind of money laying around unless it's private owners. So we knew we couldn't fix that building, which is sort of why it's still standing there like it is. So what we did was we reached to an outside independent insurance adjuster. They came up. They're out of Florida, so Florida's getting smacked with hurricanes all the time. This is their specialty. This is what they do. So we reached out to those guys and said, look, can you come in here and make a determination and either back up the claim that this was due to the lack of maintenance, or provide the town with evidence to take back to our insurance company and possibly have to go to litigation and say, look, this was in actuality hurricane damage. Let me show you why. So Brian and myself were involved in that several meetings, and they brought down meteorologists, engineers, remediation specialists, and this insurance folks. They brought down all these experts, and they checked the building out. So they prepared a presentation for the insurance company, which I was not involved in, and I don't think Brian was involved in it. It was just regular business as usual, 8 to 5 day, and provided it to our insurance company and said, look, amongst other things, this is what we've discovered during our investigation. We feel that if this goes to court, you guys being the municipal insurance company are going to be liable for not paying out this claim. And what ended up happening, and kind of where we're at this point, is the insurance company agreed that, this is going to sound crazy, but they agreed from the gymnasium doors, the hallway doors, back to the cafeteria, had damage due to Hurricane Florence. From those gymnasium doors back all the way to Lifer Street, they said, that was a maintenance issue. So from the gymnasium door back to the cafeteria, they wrote us a check for a little over, I think it was $118,000. We couldn't fix it for $118,000. There's lots and lots of damage. We probably could have fixed it if they would have jumped on it to begin with, but at the point in conversation that you and I are at this point, we're probably a year and a half, 2 years into it, and if you walk into that school right now, it sounds like a Zen garden of waterfalls during a slight rain because it just leaks through there, and it's horrible.
Let me ask you,
Yep.
when Carousel decided we were going to do business in that building, it wasn't, that was not a concern of theirs that within so many feet of where they're doing business, that there may be asbestos in the building and it be causing some concern.
Let me finish with one question, then I'll come back to that question. So what happened was they paid us out and admitted to fault on that particular part. But they said they weren't going to do anything else. Our insurance company said. And the folks that we hired to go after what was rightfully ours said, no, that's not going to work. So right now we're at the point where they're either going to go to court or they're going to reconsider their offer, and they haven't done anything for probably 18, 19 months. But you've also got to consider that's in the middle of this whole COVID pandemic when everything's slowing down. So I don't really know exactly what's at the point right now. I haven't heard anything about going to court, and I haven't heard anything else about it. But everybody's fully aware of what's at stake. Now, and that, I think at some point in time you asked me what company did that asbestos report. I think that's what you asked me. out of, I think it is from Tampa, Florida, is their Florida office and corporate offices in New York, New York. So, back to the question you asked, when Carousel, and this is, I had not seen this in writing, this is just me asking questions kind of like you did, the answers that I thought I got. When Carousel went into that school, they were aware of some of the issues and problems, and they did lots of renovations. They reworked the whole entire, like the library out back, that shut off out back, used to be a library, they worked it into a whole entire chiropractic area, if I'm not mistaken. And they did fairly significant renovations to that, and with doing those renovations, I think they were aware of asbestos issues that they had in their allotted space, and they handled their problems when they did their renovations.
So part of the problem was corrected as a result of Carousel being a tenant there.
To my knowledge, that is
To your
correct.
knowledge.
To my knowledge.
And so, and as a care facility, healthcare facility, they were not really interested in what was going on with the other part where there was supposedly asbestos.
I can't speak to their,
Obviously not, they moved in.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
We spend money, we
Unless I'm
just,
mistaken, from their end of the building where they're at, there's a breezeway between them and the gym. So
It's not-
it's not directly connected other than the breezeway, so it really wouldn't affect them, as long as the roof in there is okay.
And that is the only organization out of Tampa that has given us an opinion that was in writing relative to the asbestos. And you said we did pay for that.
we have not forked out any money for that, that's within the settlement of what's going on.
it seems like if the roof is leaking, we're just pouring money in there to do things and never getting anything done. And like Melinda and Teresa said, here are the children, just wait. So what do you do?
Can I add on to that? I'm sorry. If I'm listening to y'all, I will say, the road issue, the assistance, that is a very serious thing. I contracted a contract services from home, and that was just in here from a military facility. And I cleaned it and everything else, still got it. So it's just like the mayor says, it is very harmful. So I was in my family.
When I'm thinking about it, and the reason I brought it up,
It's just something to think about.
Yeah.
Solid for food.
I'm very-
It's not going to.
I'm very aware of what it is something that will definitely kill. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the only reason I was asking is maybe the council would want to consider, getting a current opinion from, and I don't know if there's an organization you have to go up that can provide that opinion, even if it's a paid opinion. I don't know.
When you say current opinion, that report was written 3 months ago.
Oh, that report was, for some reason, I'm thinking, I've been hearing about asbestos way longer than 3 months. But,
You would think, with as many times as I said it, you would think it's been that long, but no, it's just been about
so
3
that was a
months.
recent report. And council feels pretty confident that report is a valid report, we stay with.
I feel confident that this report's going to have to hold up in court because that's the whole entire reason it was obtained to begin with. It is going to court. If our insurance company does not give us what we need to rehabilitate that facility, that report will show up in court documents. So yeah, I feel pretty doggone solid about the fact that if this guy said it, and he wouldn't say it otherwise, because he knows what it's used for and he knows what it's going to be intended for. It's going, if we go to court over this building, that document will be admitted into evidence.
So what kind of time frame is council looking at in terms of wherever it needs to make a decision on whether to push forward in court, make a decision on this so it can get resolved?
I've got my report. The man that blew it up, he told me he finished, and it would be safe for everybody.
Yeah, but truly,
I'm just,
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but again, I guess my concern as a citizen, I don't have kids, but I have cousins.
It's not-
relatives,
my report
possibly
is not
built.
just cleaning and quitting, cleaning and, now, from the smoke,
Councilman Taylor, could you explain to the crowd what we did with that 118,000 that was given, or how we doing anything with it?
It was advised to us to stick it in a bank account where it currently sits at today, and they said, do not touch it. And that's exactly what we've done. We stuck it in an Anderson Brothers bank account, and the exact dollar amount, I think it's 118,000. That's just off the top of my memory I have.
I just didn't want citizens to say that
Yeah.
we have that type
No,
of money
we-
and not know what we're doing with it, because we
Yeah.
want to let them know that we're transparent
We-
and we're going to be held accountable for what
We
we
were
have.
told not to touch that money because in the long run, it will be,
If you spend it, they can use that as
You
an
accept it,
acceptance
they're
of
all-
your claim, and they can say, oh, we're done,
Right.
took it, used it.
Well, I'm glad you said it. When I'm saying the citizens sitting out there, if we're going to throw a number out there, let's tell them what we're doing with that, and that's what I was saying.
yeah, no problem. It was, is it 131? $131,700 before sitting in an account later to figure out what's going to go. The estimates that ranged, if you allow me, the estimates that ranged for renovation